The red Martian dust swirled around Ilara's boots as she crested another rocky ridge. Her breath fogged the inside of her helmet as she paused to survey the desolate landscape. 2 years into humanity's first manned mission to Mars, and the novelty of alien vistas had long since faded. "Anything interesting out there, Elle?" The voice of her mission partner, Darian, crackled through her comms. "Negative," Ilara replied with a sigh. "Just more rocks and dust. You'd think after all this time we'd have found something." Her words died in her throat as she squinted at a strange shimmer in the distance. "Wait a second. I'm picking up some kind of anomaly about 2 clicks northwest of my position." "Probably just light playing tricks on you," Darian said. "We've been over that sector a dozen times." But Ilara was already moving, her curiosity piqued. As she drew closer, the shimmer resolved into a faint, translucent dome barely visible against the rusty terrain. Her heart began to race. This was no natural phenomenon. "Mission Control, are you seeing this?" she asked, activating her helmet cam. There was a long pause before a response came. "We're not quite sure what we're looking at, Ilara. Proceed with caution." She approached slowly, her gloved hand outstretched. As her fingers brushed the surface of the dome, a ripple of energy coursed through the structure. Suddenly, the air around her seemed to shift and distort. When her vision cleared, Ilara found herself standing in a vast alien chamber. Sleek, organic architecture curved overhead, pulsing with soft bioluminescence. And there, mere meters away, stood a being unlike anything humanity had ever encountered. The alien was easily 3 meters tall, with iridescent skin that seemed to shimmer with an inner light. 4 arms emerged gracefully from a slender torso, and large, multifaceted eyes regarded Ilara with an unreadable expression. Ilara's training kicked in, overriding her shock. She raised her hands slowly in what she hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "Hello," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "I come in peace." The alien tilted its head, tendrils of something like hair swaying with the movement. Then, to Ilara's utter astonishment, it spoke, in perfect English. "We have been waiting a very long time for this moment," the alien said, its voice melodious and androgynous. "I am Zephyr, emissary of the Zephyrian people. We welcome you, human of Earth." Ilara's mind reeled. You know who we are. How long have you been here?" Zephyr's multifaceted eyes seemed to shimmer with something like amusement. "We have watched your kind for millennia, hidden from your sight. But now, the time for secrecy has passed. We have great need of humanity's assistance." Before Ilara could formulate a response, a flurry of activity erupted from deeper within the chamber. More Zephyrians emerged, their graceful forms gliding across the floor. They crowded around Ilara, not threateningly, but with an air of desperate hope. "Please," one of them said, reaching out with long, delicate fingers. "Will you help us?" Ilara's head spun. This was so far beyond the scope of their mission, beyond anything she had ever imagined encountering on Mars. But as she looked into the alien faces surrounding her, she saw something achingly familiar: fear, hope, the universal desire for survival. "I'll do what I can," she managed to say. "But I need to understand what's happening here. Why have you revealed yourselves now?" Zephyr's expression grew somber. "Our people face extinction, Ilara of Earth. We have hidden ourselves for too long, and now we stand on the brink of oblivion. But in your species, we see a potential for symbiosis that could save us both." A low hum filled the chamber, and suddenly holographic displays sprang to life around them. Ilara gasped as she saw images of Earth, its teeming cities, its diverse ecosystems, its people going about their daily lives. "Your world teems with life and potential," Zephyr continued. "Ours withers. We possess knowledge and technology beyond your imagining, but we lack the adaptability, the sheer tenacity that has allowed humanity to flourish." Another Zephyrian stepped forward, this one adorned with intricate markings that seemed to pulse with inner light. "I am Nyx, lead scientist of our enclave. We have studied your kind extensively, and we believe that a union between our species could yield offspring with the best traits of both, our longevity and psychic abilities, combined with your resilience and creativity. Ilara's eyes widened as the implications sank in. You're talking about interbreeding, but how is that even possible? With the proper application of our biotechnology, it is not only possible but necessary, Nyx replied. We do not ask this lightly, but our very existence hangs in the balance. The weight of the moment pressed down on Ilara. She was just one astronaut, woefully unprepared for first contact, let alone negotiating the future of two species. And yet, the hope in the alien's eyes was unmistakable. I can't make any promises, she said carefully. This is way above my pay grade, but I'll convey your message to my superiors. We'll need to establish proper diplomatic channels, exchange information. Her words were cut off by a violent tremor that shook the chamber. Zephyr's expression turned to one of alarm. We may not have as much time as we hoped, the alien said urgently. The seismic activity on Mars has been increasing. Our refuge will not remain hidden for long. As if to underscore the point, a klaxon began to sound, filling the air with an otherworldly wail. The Zephyrians moved with sudden purpose, rushing to control panels and readouts that Ilara could barely comprehend. What's happening? She demanded, struggling to keep her footing as the tremors intensified. Nick's eyes met hers, filled with a mixture of fear and determination. The great sleep is ending. Soon they will awaken, and your presence here may have accelerated the process. Who? Ilara asked, a chill running down her spine. Who's waking up? Zephyr placed a gentle but insistent hand on Ilara's shoulder, guiding her towards what appeared to be some kind of transport pod. There is no time to explain fully. You must return to your people and warn them. Mars is not the dead world you believed it to be, and its true masters stir in their ancient slumber. As Ilara was ushered into the pod, her mind raced with questions and implications. She had come to Mars seeking signs of past life, only to stumble upon a hidden civilization and the promise of an even greater threat. The last thing she saw before the pod's door sealed was Zephyr's solemn face. Remember, Ilara of Earth, our fates are now intertwined. The survival of both our peoples may depend on the choices you make in the coming days. With a rush of energy, Ilara found herself back on the Martian surface, the hidden base once again invisible to the naked eye. As she stood there, heart pounding, she knew that nothing would ever be the same. Humanity's place in the cosmos had just been irrevocably altered, and she was the one who would have to break the news to a world that had no idea what was coming. The Earth-Mars communication delay felt interminable as Ilara waited for a response to her initial report. She paced the confined space of the habitat module, mind reeling from her encounter with the Zephyrians. Darian watched her with a mixture of concern and disbelief. You're absolutely sure about what you saw? He asked for what felt like the 100th time. I mean, actual aliens. Here on Mars. Ilara stopped pacing and fixed him with a steady gaze. I know how it sounds, Dar, but I'm telling you they're real, and they need our help. Before Darian could respond, their comms crackled to life. Mars Base, this is Mission Control. We've reviewed your footage and telemetry data. A team of experts is being assembled to analyze the situation. In the meantime, you are authorized to re-establish contact with the alien entities, designated Zephyrians. Proceed with caution and maintain constant communication. Ilara felt a surge of relief. At least they believed her. Copy that. Mission Control. I'm heading back out. As she donned her suit once more, Darian grabbed her arm. I'm coming with you this time. No way am I letting you face ET alone again. Together, they made their way back to the site of Ilara's first contact. The Martian landscape seemed unchanged, but now Ilara knew the truth hidden beneath the rusty surface. She approached the spot where she'd first touched the invisible dome, Darian close behind. Zephyr, she called out, feeling slightly foolish. It's Ilara. I've returned and I've brought a friend. We'd like to talk. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, like a mirage solidifying, the dome shimmered into view. A seam appeared in its surface, a rising open to reveal the alien chamber beyond. Zephyr stood waiting, flanked by Nyx and several other Zephyrians. "Welcome back, Elara of Earth," Zephyr said, multifaceted eyes taking in Darian's presence. "And greetings to your companion. Please enter. We have much to discuss." As they stepped inside, Darian let out a low whistle. "I'll be damned, you weren't exaggerating." Nyx approached, holding what appeared to be two slim, silvery collars. "These are translation devices," the alien explained. "They'll allow for smoother communication between our species." Elara and Darian exchanged glances before cautiously accepting the devices. As soon as Elara fastened hers around her neck, she felt a slight tingle. Suddenly, the subtle harmonics underlying the Zephyrian's speech became clear, adding layers of meaning to their words. "Incredible," Darian murmured, clearly experiencing the same effect. Zephyr gestured towards a circular area where several Zephyrians were already seated. "Please join us. We will answer your questions and explain our situation more fully." As they settled into the alien gathering, Elara couldn't help but marvel at the contrasts between their species. The Zephyrians moved with a fluid grace that seemed almost choreographed, their iridescent skin pulsing softly with bioluminescence. "First," Zephyr began, "you should understand that we are not native to Mars. Our ancestors came here millennia ago, fleeing a dying world. We believed Mars to be uninhabited, a place where we could rebuild our civilization." Nyx picked up the thread. "But we were wrong. Mars had guardians, ancient, slumbering beings of immense power. When they stirred, we were forced into hiding, compressing our entire society into this pocket dimension." Elara leaned forward, fascinated despite the gravity of the situation. "And now these guardians are waking up." Zephyr's expression turned grim. "Yes, the seismic activity you've detected is a sign of their imminent awakening. We fear they will see your presence here as an invasion, just as they did ours." "Wait," Darian interjected. "Are you saying there's some kind of super-powerful Martian race that's about to wake up and potentially wipe us all out?" "That is one possible outcome," Nyx confirmed. "But we believe that together, our species might stand a chance. Your adaptability, combined with our technology, could be the key to negotiating with the Guardians, or, if necessary, defending against them." Elara's mind raced with the implications. "And this is why you need our help, to face this threat." Zephyr's many-faceted eyes seemed to shimmer with emotion. "Partly, yes, but our need goes deeper. Eons in hiding have taken their toll. Our population dwindles, our genetic diversity wanes. We need an infusion of new life, new perspectives. We believe that a union between our species could produce offspring capable of thriving in this harsh environment, children who could bridge the gap between our cultures and face the challenges ahead." The chamber fell silent as the weight of the request sank in. Elara glanced at Darian, seeing her own mix of wonder and apprehension mirrored in his eyes. "I understand this is an enormous ask," Zephyr continued softly. "But we have watched humanity for centuries. Your tenacity, your drive to explore and adapt, these are qualities our people desperately need. In return, we offer knowledge and technologies beyond your current understanding. Together, we could reshape the future of both our species." As if to emphasize the point, the chamber around them came alive with holographic displays. Elara gasped as she saw visions of terraformed Martian landscapes, of hybrid children with iridescent skin and human eyes, of starships unlike anything in Earth's sci-fi imaginings. "This is a lot to process," Darian said, his voice filled with awe. Nyx approached, holding out a small crystalline device. "This contains a database of our history, biology, and technological capabilities. Share it with your leaders. Let them see the full scope of what we offer and what we face together." Elara accepted the device, feeling the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. "I'll make sure they understand. But you have to know, a decision like this, it won't be made quickly or easily. Zephyr nodded solemnly. We understand. But please impress upon your people the urgency of our situation. The Guardians will not slumber forever, and when they wake... The alien's words were cut off by a violent tremor that shook the entire chamber. Alarms began to sound, and the gathered Zephyrians burst into action. What's happening? Ilara shouted over the din. Nick's expression was one of barely contained panic. The Guardians, they stir earlier than we anticipated. Your presence here, the energy of our meeting, it must have accelerated the process. Another tremor rocked the base, stronger this time. Zephyr grabbed Ilara and Darian, ushering them towards the exit. You must go now. Return to your people, share what you've learned. We will do what we can to slow the awakening, but you must hurry. As they stumbled back onto the Martian surface, Ilara turned to see the hidden base flickering in and out of visibility. The last thing she saw before it vanished entirely was Zephyr's face, etched with a mixture of hope and fear. Good luck, Ilara of Earth, the alien's voice echoed in her mind. The fate of both our peoples now rests in your hands. As the Martian wind whipped around them, Ilara and Darian stood in stunned silence. The ground beneath their feet continued to tremble, a constant reminder of the awakening threat. With one last look at the now invisible alien base, they turned and began the trek back to their own habitat, carrying with them knowledge that would forever change humanity's place in the cosmos. The United Nations Security Council chamber buzzed with tension. Representatives from every major world power sat around the circular table, their faces a mix of disbelief, excitement, and barely concealed fear. At the center of it all stood Ilara, still adjusting to Earth's gravity after her hasty return from Mars. Let me get this straight, the US ambassador said, leaning forward. You're saying there's not only intelligent alien life on Mars, but they want our help too. What? Save their species through interbreeding. Ilara took a deep breath. That's correct, Madam Ambassador. The Zephyrians are facing extinction, and they believe a union with humanity could ensure their survival and potentially save us all from an even greater threat. The Russian representative scoffed and was supposed to simply take the word of these aliens. For all we know, this could be an elaborate trap. With all due respect, sir, Ilara countered, I've seen their technology firsthand. If the Zephyrians wanted to harm us, they could have done so long ago. The Chinese delegate raised a hand. What of this greater threat you mentioned? These Guardians. Ilara activated the holographic projector she'd brought from Mars. The chamber filled with images of the seismic data, along with the Zephyrians' projections of what the awakening Guardians might look like, massive, almost incomprehensible beings that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The Zephyrians believe the Guardians are an ancient race native to Mars, Ilara explained. They've been dormant for millennia, but they're waking up, and they might not take kindly to finding humans on their planet. A murmur ran through the assembly. The Secretary General called for order before addressing Ilara directly. Dr. Vega, while your report is extraordinary, you must understand the position it puts us in. We're being asked to consider interspecies breeding based on the word of aliens we just learned exist. The ethical implications alone. I understand, Mr. Secretary General, Ilara interrupted, her patience wearing thin. But with all due respect, we don't have the luxury of time for drawn-out ethical debates. The Guardians are waking up. If we don't act soon, we might lose our chance to collaborate with the Zephyrians and potentially face an interplanetary threat alone. The British representative cleared his throat. Even if we were to consider this alliance, how would we proceed? We can't exactly open immigration offices on Mars. Ilara pulled up another hologram, this one showing the schematics of a massive space station. The Zephyrians have proposed constructing a joint habitat in Mars orbit. It would serve as a neutral ground for our species to interact, conduct joint research, and, yes, potentially begin the process of genetic integration. The chamber erupted into a flurry of discussions. Ilara could hear snippets of conversation, concerns about genetic manipulation, arguments over which nations would have access to alien technology, debates about the long-term implications for human society. As the clamor grew, a sharp crack echoed through the room. All eyes turned to the source, Dr. Yara Okafor, the renowned xenobiologist who had been quietly observing until now. "Colleagues, please," Dr. Okafor said, her voice calm but commanding. "We're missing the bigger picture here. This isn't just about saving an alien species or gaining advanced technology. This is potentially the most significant moment in human history. We have confirmation that we're not alone in the universe, and we're being offered a chance to join a larger cosmic community." She stood, addressing the entire assembly. "Yes, there are risks. Yes, there are ethical concerns we'll need to address. But can we really afford to let this opportunity pass us by? Especially with the looming threat of these guardians." A thoughtful silence fell over the room. The Secretary General nodded slowly. "Dr. Okafor raises valid points. However, this isn't a decision we can make unilaterally. We'll need to consult with experts, draft proposals, hold public forums." Ilara's communicator suddenly lit up, projecting a holographic image of Zephyr. The alien's usual composure was gone, replaced by obvious distress. "Ilara of Earth, forgive the intrusion," Zephyr said, its voice tinged with urgency. "But we're out of time. The Guardians, they're awakening faster than we anticipated. We've detected massive energy surges beneath the Martian surface." The chamber erupted into chaos once more. The Secretary General tried to restore order, but his voice was drowned out by the panicked shouts of the delegates. Amidst the commotion, Ilara locked eyes with Dr. Okafor. The xenobiologist gave her a subtle nod, and Ilara knew what she had to do. "Enough," Ilara shouted, her voice cutting through the din. The room fell silent, all eyes turning to her. "I understand your fears, your doubts, but right now, we have a choice to make. We can either continue to debate while an existential threat looms, or we can take a leap of faith and reach out to our cosmic neighbors." She took a deep breath, steeling herself for what she was about to say. "As the first human to make contact with the Zephyrians, I volunteer to be the first to participate in their genetic integration program." A collective gasp ran through the assembly. Dr. Okafor stepped forward. "I'll go as well. My expertise in xenobiology could be crucial in ensuring the success of this endeavor." The Secretary General looked between the two women, a mix of admiration and concern on his face. "You understand what you're volunteering for, the risks involved." Ilara nodded sullenly. "We do, sir. But the potential benefits for humanity and the Zephyrians far outweigh those risks." After a moment of tense silence, the Secretary General straightened his shoulders. "Very well. I'll put it to a vote. All in favor of authorizing an emergency mission to Mars, with the goal of establishing formal relations with the Zephyrians and investigating this joint habitat proposal." One by one, hands raised around the room. It wasn't unanimous, but it was a clear majority. "The motion carries," the Secretary General announced. "Dr. Vega, Dr. Okafor, it seems you have your mission. Godspeed, and know that the hopes of humanity go with you." As the chamber buzzed with renewed activity, delegates rushing to inform their governments, aides scrambling to draft official statements, Ilara felt a mix of exhilaration and trepidation. She caught Dr. Okafor's eye, and the two women shared a determined nod. They were about to embark on the most important journey in human history, racing against time to forge an alliance that could reshape the future of two species and potentially save both from an ancient, awakening threat. The joint human-Zephyrian space station hung in Martian orbit like a gleaming beacon of interspecies cooperation. Named Harmony, it was a marvel of engineering, blending the best of human ingenuity with Zephyrian bioorganic technology. Inside one of the station's advanced laboratories, Ilara worked alongside Nyx, their movements a well-choreographed dance after months of collaboration. Holographic displays flickered around them, showing complex genetic sequences and molecular structures. "I think we're close to a breakthrough," Ilara said, her eyes scanning the data scrolling before her. "If we can just stabilize the telomere regeneration process." Nix's multifaceted eyes shimmered with excitement. "Agreed. Your species' genetic adaptability continues to amaze me. Perhaps if we introduce the CRIS plea Z9 enzyme at this juncture." Dr. Okafor's voice came over the intercom. "Ilara, Nix, I've got those new simulation results you asked for. You might want to see this." Moments later, the xenobiologist entered the lab, her usual calm demeanor tinged with obvious excitement. She pulled up a new holographic display showing a complex molecular dance. "We ran a simulation with the latest parameters," Dr. Okafor explained. "And look at this, stable genetic integration across all major systems, with enhanced resistance to radiation and low-gravity environments." Ilara's heart raced as she studied the data. This could be it. The key to creating a viable human-Zephyrian hybrid. Nix reached out, its slender fingers tracing the holographic strands with reverence. "Not just viable," the alien scientist said softly, "but potentially superior to either of our species alone. Able to withstand the harsh Martian environment with enhanced cognitive abilities and longevity." The implications hung heavy in the air. This wasn't just about saving the Zephyrian species anymore. They were on the cusp of creating something entirely new, a bridge between two worlds, a species uniquely adapted to life on Mars and beyond. Dr. Okafor broke the awed silence. "We should inform the Joint Council immediately. This changes everything." As if on cue, alarms began to blare throughout the station. Red warning lights flashed, and the ship's AI spoke with urgent calm. "Alert. Massive seismic activity detected on Martian's surface. All personnel report to emergency stations." The three scientists exchanged worried glances. The Guardians, Ilara breathed. "They're waking up." They rushed to the station's control center, joining a gathered crowd of humans and Zephyrians. On the main view screen, live footage showed the Martian surface roiling like an angry sea. Massive fissures opened in the planet's crust, releasing plumes of long-trapped gases and debris. Zephyr stood at the center of the command hub, its usually serene features etched with concern. "We've detected enormous energy signatures emerging from beneath the surface," the alien leader announced. "The Guardians are stirring far more rapidly than we anticipated." "How long do we have?" Ilara asked, her mind racing. "Days, perhaps," Zephyr replied grimly. "No more than a week before they fully awaken." The room erupted into a flurry of activity. Human military advisors argued for a preemptive strike, while Zephyrian elders counseled caution and attempts at communication. Amidst the chaos, Ilara felt a moment of clarity. She stepped forward, raising her voice to be heard above the din. "Everyone, please. We may have a solution." All eyes turned to her as she quickly explained their recent breakthrough. "If we can accelerate the hybridization process," she concluded, "we might be able to create ambassadors uniquely suited to interact with the Guardians. Beings that combine the best of both our species, able to withstand whatever environment the Guardians inhabit." A murmur ran through the assembled crowd. Dr. Okafor stepped up beside Ilara. "It's risky," she admitted. "We haven't had time for long-term studies, but given the circumstances." Zephyr's multifaceted eyes seemed to bore into Ilara. "You understand what you're proposing? To be the first to undergo this process?" Ilara swallowed hard but nodded firmly. "I do. I've been working on this project from the beginning. I believe in it. And if there's even a chance it could help us communicate with the Guardians, save both our peoples, I have to try." Nix moved to stand beside her. "I too volunteer. It is fitting that both our species be represented in this endeavor." For a moment, the control room was silent save for the persistent alarms warning of the chaos unfolding on the planet below. Then, slowly, heads began to nod. Voices rose in agreement. Very well, Zephyr said solemnly. We shall proceed, but we must work quickly. Every moment counts. As the station erupted into frenzied activity, Ilara felt a mix of terror and exhilaration. She caught Nick's eye, saw her own determination mirrored in the alien's gaze. Together, they were about to take a leap into the unknown to become something more than either human or Zephyrian. And perhaps in doing so, they would forge the key to humanity's survival in the face of an ancient, awakening threat. As they were ushered towards the medical bay, Ilara's mind raced with possibilities. What would she become? What new perspectives would this transformation bring? And would it be enough to bridge the gap between their allied species and the mysterious guardians? The fate of two worlds now rested on the success of their desperate gambit. As the doors of the medical bay slid shut behind them, Ilara took a deep breath, ready to embrace whatever the future might hold. The transformation was unlike anything Ilara could have imagined. Every cell in her body seemed to burn and reform, a symphony of pain and rebirth that lasted for what felt like an eternity. When she finally opened her eyes, the world around her had changed. Colors she had never seen before danced at the edges of her vision. She could feel the vibrations of the space station humming through her newly sensitive skin. Beside her, Nyx was undergoing a similar awakening, the alien's form now a breathtaking hybrid of human and Zephyrian features. "How do you feel?" Dr. Okafor asked, her voice a mixture of scientific curiosity and genuine concern. Ilara sat up slowly, marveling at the grace of her movements. "I feel incredible, like I'm finally whole." Nyx nodded in agreement, its no there, voice now carrying harmonics that resonated on multiple levels. The integration appears to have been successful. We are something new. Before they could discuss further, the station's alarms blared once again. Zephyr's voice came over the intercom, urgent and strained. "Ilara, Nyx, we need you in the command center immediately. The Guardians, they're surfacing." Moving within human speed and agility, Ilara and Nyx made their way to the command hub. As they entered, all eyes turned to them, some in awe, others in barely concealed fear at their new appearance. But Ilara's attention was immediately drawn to the main view screen. The Martian surface was transforming before their eyes. Massive structures were rising from beneath the red soil, geometric shapes that defied conventional physics. And at the center of it all, a colossal figure was emerging, a being of such scale and complexity that Ilara's new senses struggled to comprehend it. "By all that's holy," someone whispered. "What is that thing?" Zephyr stepped forward, its usual composure shaken. "That, my friends, is a guardian, the true masters of Mars." The guardian continued to rise, its form a mesmerizing blend of crystalline structures and what appeared to be pure energy. As it reached its full height, easily dwarfing any human construction, it turned its attention to the space station. A wave of psychic energy washed over them, so powerful that most of the crew stumbled. But Ilara and Nyx stood firm, their hybrid minds able to withstand the onslaught. "It's communicating," Nyx said, their voice filled with wonder. Ilara nodded, the Guardian's thoughts flooding her consciousness. "It's asking why we're here. It sees us as intruders." The command center erupted into panic. Military advisors called for immediate evacuation, while others argued for attempting communication. But Ilara knew there was only one path forward. "We need to go down there," she said, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Nyx and I, we're the only ones who can communicate with it directly." "Absolutely not," Dr. Okafor protested. "We have no idea what prolonged exposure to the Martian surface will do to your new physiology." But Zephyr raised a hand for silence. "Dr. Okafor, with all due respect, we're out of options. If we don't establish peaceful contact now, we risk the Guardians seeing all of us, humans and Zephyrians alike, as threats to be eliminated." After a tense moment, Dr. Okafor nodded reluctantly. "Very well, but you'll wear environmental suits as a precaution, and we'll be monitoring your vitals constantly." Within the hour, a small shuttle was descending towards the Martian surface. Ilara and Nyx sat side by side, their hybrid forms a stark contrast to the human pilots navigating the craft. As they approached the massive Guardian, Ilara felt a mix of terror and exhilaration. "Are you ready?" she asked Nyx, her voice carrying layers of subharmonics that conveyed her complex emotions. Nyx's multifaceted eyes shimmered with determination, as ready as one can be to face a god. The shuttle touched down on the transformed Martian landscape. As Ilara and Nyx stepped out, they felt the full psychic presence of the Guardian wash over them. It was ancient beyond comprehension, curious and wary in equal measure. Drawing on their new hybrid abilities, Ilara and Nyx began to communicate. They shared the history of both their peoples, the desperate alliance that had led to their creation, and their hopes for a peaceful coexistence. The Guardian's response was complex, layers of thought and emotion that would have overwhelmed their former selves. But now they could grasp the nuances. The Guardian's surprise at finding life had flourished in its long slumber, its concern for the delicate balance of the planet it had been created to protect, and its cautious interest in the potential of this new hybrid species. Hours passed as the dialogue continued, witnessed by the anxious crews aboard both the human and Zephyrian vessels in orbit. Finally, Ilara and Nyx turned back to their communication devices. "We've reached an understanding," Ilara announced, her voice thick with emotion and exhaustion. Nyx continued, "The Guardian is willing to allow our presence on Mars, under certain conditions. It sees potential in our hybrid form, a bridge between the cosmic and the terrestrial." A collective sigh of relief echoed through the command centers, but Zephyr, ever perceptive, noticed the tension still present in the hybrid's postures. "There's more, isn't there?" Ilara nodded gravely. "The Guardian has warned us of a greater threat, one that drove its creators to hide it and its brethren on Mars eons ago, a threat that may soon find its way to our solar system." The implications hung heavy in the air. They had averted one crisis, only to be faced with the possibility of an even greater one looming on the cosmic horizon. As the sun set on the transformed Martian landscape, casting long shadows from the towering Guardian, Ilara and Nyx stood as living symbols of a new era. They had forged an unlikely alliance between humans, Zephyrians, and the ancient Guardians of Mars. But as they prepared to return to the station, both knew that their journey, and the challenges facing their united peoples, was far from over. The stars above held both promise and peril, and they would need to face whatever came together. 1 year had passed since the fateful encounter with the Guardian on Mars. The red planet, once a barren wasteland, now teemed with activity. Massive biodomes dotted the landscape, their interiors lush with Zephyrian bioengineered plants adapted to Martian soil. Human settlements nestled alongside awakened Guardian structures, a testament to the unprecedented alliance forged in the face of cosmic uncertainty. Ilara stood atop the newly constructed Harmony Tower, her hybrid form silhouetted against the pink Martian sky. Beside her, Nyx gazed out at the sprawling city below, a beautiful blend of human, Zephyrian, and Guardian architecture. "It's remarkable how much has changed," Ilara mused, her voice carrying the melodic undertones of her Zephyrian genetics. Nyx nodded, their multifaceted eyes reflecting the setting sun. "Indeed, yet I fear we've only just begun to prepare for what's to come." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Dr. Okafor, now serving as the chief liaison between Earth and the Martian colony. "There you two are," she said, a smile warming her features. "The council is assembling. It's time." Together, they made their way to the grand chamber at the heart of Harmony Tower. Representatives from Earth, the Zephyrian enclaves, and even a projection of the Guardian's consciousness awaited them. The air thrummed with anticipation. Zephyr, looking more energized than Ilara had seen in months, called the meeting to order. "Friends, allies, fellow pioneers of this new age, we stand at a crossroads of cosmic significance." Holographic displays sprang to life, showing the latest deep space scans. Strange anomalies lurked at the edges of the solar system, hinting at the approach of the threat the Guardian had warned them about. Our preparations accelerate, Zephyr continued. The first wave of human-Zephyrian hybrids has proven exceptionally adaptable. Our scientists report breakthroughs in Guardian-inspired propulsion technology, but we must push further, faster. The Guardian's projection pulsed, its thoughts translating into words that echoed through the chamber. The Devourer's approach. Beings of insatiable hunger that consume worlds, civilizations. They are why we slumbered, waiting for allies strong enough to stand against the coming storm. A murmur ran through the assembled delegates. Ilara stepped forward, her presence commanding attention. We've achieved so much in so little time. The hybridization program has produced a new generation uniquely suited to space exploration. Our combined technologies have already allowed us to establish outposts on Europa and Titan. Nyx joined her, their voices harmonizing in a way that sent shivers through the audience. But we must look beyond our solar system. The Devourer's threat demands we become a true spacefaring civilization. Dr. Okafor nodded, pulling up new schematics, which is why we're here today. Thanks to the Guardian's guidance and our combined efforts, we're ready to unveil humanity's first faster-than-light prototype. The chamber erupted in excited chatter. Ilara felt a swell of pride and hope. This was why they had taken that leap into the unknown, why they had risked everything to forge this unlikely alliance. There's more, Zephyr said, quieting the room. Our long-range sensors have detected signals. Other civilizations, scattered across the galaxy, facing the same threat. We are not alone in this fight. The Guardian's projection pulsed again. A coalition of cosmic cultures united against extinction. This was always the hope of those who created us. Ilara's mind raced with the implications. They stood on the brink of joining a galactic community, of taking their place among the stars. But the threat of the Devourers loomed large, a shadow over their bright future. We've come so far, she said, addressing the entire chamber. From first contact to this moment, we've overcome our differences, merged our strengths, and unlocked potential we never knew we had. The challenges ahead are daunting, yes, but look at what we've already accomplished. Nyx picked up the thread. We are no longer just humans, or Zephyrians, or even Guardians. We are the children of Mars, the first of a new cosmic legacy, and we will face whatever comes together. A sense of unified purpose filled the chamber. Humans, Zephyrians, hybrids, and the ancient Guardian consciousness, all committed to this new path forward. As the Council voted unanimously to launch the first faster-than-light expedition, Ilara felt a profound sense of destiny. They would voyage out into the galaxy, seeking allies, charting the unknown, and preparing for the battle that lay ahead. The sun set on Mars, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. In orbit, the first of their starships prepared for its maiden voyage. On the surface, a new generation of hybrid children played in gardens that thrived in soil once thought barren. Ilara stood with Nyx and Dr. Okafor, watching as the stars began to appear in the darkening sky. Each point of light represented possibility, adventure, and yes, potential danger, but they would face it all united. So, Dr. Okafor said with a smile, who's ready to make some more history. Ilara and Nyx exchanged a glance, their hybrid senses conveying volumes in that single look. Whatever the future held, they had already transformed two worlds and forged a path to the stars. The next chapter of their cosmic journey was about to begin. As night fell on Mars, the lights of their new civilization twinkled like earthbound stars. Humanity had found its place in the cosmos, not alone, but as part of something greater. The children of Earth and Mars, of humans and Zephyrians, looked to the sky with wonder, ready to take their first steps into a larger universe. The end of one story had become the beginning of an even greater adventure.